your brain can't pull for something that's not there. And that's become very clear to me. Like my creativity ends where my reading has stopped. And so I'm only as good as what I've read. I have different ways I say it to myself, you know. I don't mean good as invaluable. I just as useful in a context if we're trying to solve a problem, maybe. And again, reading is not the only way to internalize information, experience, or skills. I'm very clear about that. But it is a pretty valuable one, especially because, you know, people spend 2 years, 3 years, sometimes 10 years putting 250 pages together. There's a lot more care put into these things than there is into some article that's been slapped together or some social media post. And most people are digesting that as their primary source of information. Think about it, the creativity problem there, right? I have a choice between empty calorie brain candy. I'm talking to you, social media. There's some good stuff out there. I'm not dissing all of it. There's good stuff out there. I know there is, but like 80% of it, maybe. It's like entertainment. It's not that there's something wrong with engaging in entertainment. There is a medium there. There's a place for it in our lives. I absolutely believe that. But it's a question of what the intention is behind what we're taking into our minds. So it's like empty calorie brain candy or nutrient dense words of wisdom. It's the most valuable kind of information or frameworks or mental models or ways of thinking about the world that I can digest. And again, people have spent 20, 30, 50 years of their lives really wrestling with what it is they're writing about. It's not a small thing for them to write a book. It's not a small thing for anyone. And so, yeah, there is really something important about you can't iterate with ideas if you're not drawing on a pretty big database of them to play with. And again, a lot of this is the work we do as coaches or training. A lot of training and speaking is this, right? That when you're in that mode of presenting or coming up with concepts, especially I hear this a lot from coaches, just I'm trying to come up with something useful, original, new, unique, a new way of saying something, whatever it is. But they're trying, it's novelty, originality, which is one of the definitions of creativity. And the question is, how do I do that? And again, if there is a steady inflow of good, high quality content into your mind, and I'm talking about books here, it just becomes so much easier. It's just the fuel. It just keeps flowing in. And all of a sudden, the mind is playing around with all these ideas. And again, you're going to have 100, potentially 100 duds to 2 or 3 really good insights. That's why the idea log, we talked about this in week 2, I think. Keeping an idea log is so valuable because all of a sudden, it's like, I just capture everything. Comes into my mind, and I don't capture every thought. Obviously, it's not crazy. But anything that's like an insight, that little piece of the puzzle just got clear for me. Write it down. And again, I want to make sure we get to idea selection because that's the kind of brainstormy, playful, playgroundy part, sandboxing kind of experience. Much of this is this kind of default mode, imagination mode kind of mode that we're in when we're playing around. And it's really the fun part, to be clear. This is the more fun part of creativity. But as Zorana explained beautifully, the negative emotions and difficult part of creativity are often around the idea selection and the organizing the ideas. It's really the execution of making it valuable or useful. In other words, you can have all the ideas in the world and be crazy creative over here. But if it just lives in your notes app and you don't do the training because you can't get it to come together, or you don't bring it up in the context of a coaching engagement on a one-on-one call in a way that provides some kind of guidance or insight of what use is it, it's a fun exercise in and of itself, but the usefulness of it lack. And I think this is the second piece of creativity I think people find hard. It definitely is what Zorana was referring to when she was talking about difficult emotions around creativity, because it's frustrating. You have to kill your darlings. You've got to slice and dice and narrow down. You have to let go of a lot of what you thought was really brilliant work to really make it pop and sparkle. Because you got to get back to simplicity, because this gets really complex over here. It's jumbled. It's a whole mess of good stuff, but you got to pare it down and make it useful. And I think this is the second part that also we're circling around in the conversation.
Thanks so much for checking us out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below for more free brain hacks. And don't forget to check out our course, The Brain Science Advantage, in the link below. Until next time.